Coin traders, my oh my, what a breakout we've had since the last video a couple days ago where we were actually talking about whether or not ICP can rally above, but especially it did seem likely since we had a lot of factors shaping up in our favor. Go drop a watch on that video if you haven't done so just yet. Link is in the description below or up in the right-hand corner here as well. Definitely go check that out and talk about the analysis that we're looking at on this big move prior to this breakout. So especially now with a very, very nice breakout, looking at about, let's see, on the daily, we're looking at about, looking at about, yeah, almost 50%. We actually got to, from the low here to the top, 60%, over 60% move in 2 days, just insane. So we know that a lot of upside has been happening here, especially for Algorand. Looking at this weekly chart, my oh my, definitely getting vertical. And we know that these type of charts, although fun and really exciting, are not really that sustainable longer term. So do to make sure we talk about risk management strategies, or if you are long-term holding from getting in here at the bottom, then nothing to worry about. But anyway, nonetheless, let's go ahead and dive into this chart a little bit more, because zooming out here, looking left, do want to talk about a very big target up overhead, just shy of $16 for the close, coming in at $15.78, but all the way down to a big zone where we found previous low support at $14.80. So currently right now, this is where we are getting stuck up. So looking left, big point of support and support on this chart before flushing down to our low in accumulation period here. Now looking at a very nice breakout, but getting stuck up at that resistance point, which is to be expected, especially considering how overextended we are on these charts. So looking at the weekly RSI, relative strength index, looking at right now 85 on the weekly, definitely very strong. And previously we were looking at 85.01. Now looking down here at the bottom two for stochastic RSI, we are still smashed up very high. So currently right now on the current week, we're looking at 95.67 and 97.11. So do know that at some point we're going to have to see these actually flip bearish and actually see this oscillator retrace to the downside below the 15 line here, and then actually get down into the level where we can see a little bit more bullish pressure from a bullish flip. And once again, so typically what happens when we do experience these type of moves, especially for not only the RSI to actually pull back as well, but also for the stochastic RSI, is actually what we see is typically a little bit of period of sideways consolidation, not necessarily an immediate retrace, and especially with a chart setup like this, that's not the most likely. So we do know that we're looking at a bullish flip on these exponential moving averages for this weekly exponential moving average. So typically what we need to see happen is these EMAs to actually roll up. We'll get a rejection from this big resistance point, which is normal, and then probably a pullback and retracement. Right now, we could even see a pullback and retracement down to about the $9 level. But we know that one of the things that happens is that the farther we actually rally to the upside, the farther the supports do come into the downside. So if we look at Fibonacci right now, for example, from the low up to the current trend high right now, if we do get to that Fibonacci retracement, 50% retracement would be at the 910 level, which is kind of like what we talked about. So that's still very possible as well. Now, if we actually want to talk about percentage-wise of a retracement, this would be from the current level anyway, about a 32% retracement. Sounds like a lot, but definitely not that abnormal for especially the gains that we have seen. So even in the last 2 weeks here, we've been looking at over 145% move, and that's even from current prices as well. So like we say, we do need to see a slowdown and retracement, especially on the longer term charts. So these patterns will always play out, and longer terms will always do what they're supposed to do. It's just kind of a matter of when right now. And especially since we have been looking at previously big resistances in this big zone from the 26 to the 50, we know that that could be a very nice support target, especially once these do flip, which could potentially align depending on how long this retracement actually takes. Now, because we are in the weekly chart, we know that it is going to take a little bit longer to actually retrace. And we know that we've never seen before a pattern that just completely goes sideways before the next chart, or just continues to go up and up and up and up without some sort of inevitable retracement and confirmation of some lower supports before kicking off once again to create a new higher high. That is what we need to see and what we like to see for longer term sustained growth. Otherwise, this is just a short-term pump, which does mean short-term retracement. Definitely no calls for that right now. ICP is extremely strong name, obviously with extremely solid fundamentals, and we have been getting a lot of nice hype and growth for it. And in fact, if you actually have been following me here over on Twitter or X at coin_trades is the handle, definitely go drop me a follow over there. Did make a post earlier about how we were looking at a market cap topping Shiba Inu. Now, right now, we're actually seeing a little bit of fluctuation in price. So, you know, very close to call right now, which is why it hasn't actually flipped just yet. but we know that right now market cap is higher, 6.175 billion compared to Shiba Inu, 6.161 billion. So great things all there, pushing meme coins down, and obviously looking at ICP taking the number 16 spot here as well. But yeah, definitely make sure to drop me a follow over on X or Twitter at coin_trades is the handle. Post a lot about ICP, especially recently on the big move that we have been looking at here. But anyway, nonetheless, dropping back into the chart, when I actually look at the 4 hour here, because a lot of things have been more relevant on the shorter time frame charts, because the shorter time frame charts are in control right now. So since we did have a very nice solid break above the previous level of resistance at 1132.4, that is the so huge resistance point for the close, big resistance point before finally having a very nice candle and then a very nice rally. So even breaking this resistance point, looking at a price rally of almost 20% here, and to the high, looking at over 34% here, almost 35%. So such a big resistance target initially means big support target on this pullback. So if we do see these EMAs run up, this would be a nice opportunity to see that pullback. Definitely not a exact call for that again, and even pulling up a Fibonacci on this short little trend here to the current high. If we do get a retracement that much, that would be about the 61.8% retracement, which would be at 11.43. So that's still within the healthy range to see new highs, but that would end us leading to a little bit more consolidation before seeing the next leg to the upside. Now, if we do pull back and see a retracement, sorry, let's go ahead and pull that up once again. So if we do end up seeing a retracement not that much lower, down to about 12,895, that's a little bit more likely to continue the next leg to the upside, because typically we see the 38.2 coming in as the lowest retracement target in order to confirm an immediate bounce and topping out a new higher high. Otherwise, we do start to increase the likelihood that any retracement's just going to end up setting a lower high and then probably going in some sort of tightening mode for a longer term before seeing the next rally and leg to the upside. That's typically how these charts form when we talk about retracement sizes and magnitudes, especially with regard to Fibonacci and retracements based on previous resistances. So now I do want to drop over into the 1 hour chart here, because very nice upside move that we were looking at. Meanwhile, very nice volumes for the bulls. So a lot of strength, especially with a lot of nice bullish volume coming in. And now, ever since we have come and found our essentially short-term trend high right now, pulling back to confirm hourly support over the EMA 26 is a very nice sign as well, especially since it does hold that 38.2% retracement on the longer move. And then right now on this hourly, have been seeing decreasing hourly bearish volumes. So especially we know selling pressure is getting decreased and slowing down. And that's on top of a lot of these nice supports as well. And especially because we are looking at a short-term trend line, previous resistance, flipped it as support, and then looking at it as support again. So if we do break that, then likely we would be looking at confirming this as a trend top, and then looking at a confirmation of a pullback on some of the longer term charts, and then hopefully setting that higher low on that Fibonacci chart as well. Now, do you want to look at the RSI Relative Strength Index for the 4 hour chart? Last time we did get this overextended, we actually did see the current trend top out, but we could be looking at potentially another test and effectively a shorter double top before pulling back and retracing. So that's something we could be seeing right now. So after a huge move and magnitude to the upside, quick sell-off and rejection, but confirming that as the local trend top before confirming a little bit longer of a pullback. So that could be how we do end up seeing a retracement down to the level just above 11. So that would definitely be something that we could see playing out, especially given the similarities and patterns of the relative strength index, as well as how the stochastic RSI is set up. One thing about this current move, though, is that if we actually look at the volume down here on the bottom, we're seeing a lot more bullish volume coming in consistently across this big breakout compared to what we saw on the initial push above the $10 level before retracing back down below that. So what we're actually seeing here is a big push from the bulls compared to what we saw previously. So we might not necessarily get as much of a pullback and sell-off since a lot of this buying is consistent, but we know it does have to sustain in order to keep seeing an upside direction continue. Shorter term though, now on the 15-minute, you can see how much selling pressure has been coming in since the current trend high, especially after 3 rejections, topping out at a high of 1525. So now we are looking at, in fact, decreasing a bullish volume on the shorter term chart, especially after pulling back significantly and now likely going into a period of consolidation. Probably going to, especially if we break this low at 1327, that's going to confirm a new lower low on this trend, which does mean that this is going to confirm a local trend top. So just to kind of put this into perspective, just like we talk about rallies to the upside, we also have the same thing to the downside. So for example, we're going to look at this chart and talk about where we actually see a retracement. So from the high, you can see that we are looking at a pullback and then effectively a retracement to the 38.2, which is how we actually get this consolidation. So if we do get confirmation of that, that'll be a very nice setup and kind of example highlighting why we actually look at the 38.2% as relevant if we do want to talk about continuation and direction. Now, if we actually saw a retracement go on faster or further than that, and we actually saw a retracement to probably the 61.8, even the 78.6, that pretty much helps to confirm that we could be sitting at a higher low and then likely in that instance being able to set a new high. But because we haven't retraced that much yet, we do know that a lot of pressure is still staying in this overall zone, which does mean continuation direction is more likely. If that concept doesn't really make sense, definitely drop me a note in the section below. Would be more than happy to talk about it or even potentially do another video on that topic as well. So personally, I think we've done great achieving a target hitting the $15 level. Now it is going to be time for the bulls to take a little bit of a break and breather. And I think right now we do need to kind of settle in and help confirm a little bit of consolidation period and a longer term accumulation, confirm some of these support levels before seeing any sort of chart continuation. That would be the strongest and most healthy move, especially for a longer term time period. Keep in mind though that on the weekly, we are going to be needing of longer term retracement, and especially with the January 8th to 10th anticipated announcement of that Bitcoin ETF, we could be seeing a lot of action then, but probably nothing for the next week until that happens. So yeah, with that actually is going to go ahead and wrap up the show today and update on ICP, Internet Computer. Hope you all enjoyed. If you did, please hit the thumbs up, like, and subscribe. And if you have not done so just yet, and also post a comment down below if you wish to do so. Do love getting back to every one of you down below. Hope everyone has a very good new year. Looking forward to a great crypto year ahead in 2024. So make sure to stay subscribed to the channel for all future updates. But yeah, that actually is going to go ahead and close it out for this year. Make sure you all stay safe. Have a good time. Happy New Year. And I'll catch you back next year in the next video.